Oh, hey there, Oz.
Oh, hey, Curtis.
Hey, what movie are we watching this week?
This week we've got the love child of My Two Dads
Uh-huh.
meets Wayne's World
Sure.
with 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. This week we're kicking off Ladies Movies Month with 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Three scoops of vanilla ice cream.
It goes down smooth, tastes all right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was perfectly adequate.
Yeah, you stay right in your lane though. Yeah.
I like vanilla. But Patreon subscriber Melissa L and I have an ongoing argument that is vanilla a flavor, or is it just like the base for everything else?
It's a flavor.
I enjoy the flavor of vanilla, but she's like, no, it's just there to have other stuff added to it.
It's like, so in her mind, it's like coloring with a white crayon. Like,
yeah, it's
you could just not do it and still have the same thing.
It's filler. It's all it is. It's just filler.
No, I definitely think vanilla is a flavor. I mean, you got a heart. Well, anymore, imitation vanilla, they do such a great job with fake vanilla that you don't even need real vanilla. But no, it's not like chicken of the protein world where it's like it's just if you didn't add any flavor, it would still taste like chicken. No, I don't believe
that.
So, welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme, new month.
I know, new month. We've got a new theme, Oz.
And it'll be a 5-weeker. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I am the other host, Curtis.
And before we get rolling in this romp, we do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S, Aaron A, Mandy K, Melissa L, and Colin K. Thank you for your patronage.
Yay!
So
so
new theme.
We're taking new theme, and so we went and we juxtaposed last month's theme of man movies,
which should come first.
Yes. I mean, you're looking at the 2 prime examples of man right here.
I'm pretty sure that our viewership will be, 30 to 40% higher on Man Movie Month than Lady Movie Month. I mean, as to be expected.
Yep, 7 views versus 4.
Exactly.
But yeah, we went, we're going to the other end of the gender spectrum with Lady Movie. And so we're kicking it off with 3 Men and a Little Lady. This was your pick, and I loved how we jumped into the sequel of
3 Men and a Baby,
which we were talking pre-show, and I've seen, but it's probably been at least 30 years since I've seen 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah. And this is a first time watch for me, 3 Men and a Little Lady.
And I do recall watching 3 Men and a Little Lady, but again, probably has also been about 30 years since I've seen that.
It's back.
Although
it was a big night for you.
Very formative for 13-year-old Curtis.
Right. You watched 3 Men and a Baby for the ghosts, and you watched 3 Men and a Little Lady for a lot of Nancy Travis.
6 men, a baby, and a lady.
That's right.
So we had a fun month ahead, and this movie, we were talking pre-show, Oz, this movie was a lot more enjoyable than we anticipated.
Yeah, it was. I will be first to say that it fits the theme. 2, it was just a funny title to throw in there. But no, watching it, it's like, it felt good in a weird it felt good in the same way, not quite as harsh. It's the same, almost like a Pretty Woman feels good. Like you're watching it and everything just feels safe. Everything's predictable. You know how it's going to end up, and you just get to watch, for lack of a better word, like just some talent do their thing. Some fun performances, some fun bits. In the movie. Yeah. You know exactly what's going to happen. Is it a great movie? No. Is it an enjoyable movie? Yeah. There were some clunky parts. There were some parts that felt a little bit long. There was some plot decisions that maybe scratched your head a little bit. But overall, it's like it was perfectly fine. Kicked off the 90s. This was actually the second highest grossing film of 1990 behind Home Alone.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
No. I take that back. On its opening weekend. My fault.
My fault. The second highest opening.
Yeah, not of the year. Not of the year. On an opening weekend, it come in at number 2 and ended up making like $70 million domestic. So it was a hit. And again, it's one of those that it fits in the catalog of everyone that was in it. It's like, it's no one's defining film, but it's also not one. It didn't ruin anyone's career. And
when I think Tom Selleck, I think Three Men and a Little Lady.
Magnum who? Like,
yeah.
But it's just everybody. It probably was a delight on set as well. Like, you just get the vibe that like everyone's having fun. Hey, who wants a free trip to England? And and it just, except for Ted Danson, which I read, he filmed all his stuff in LA because he was leaving on a family vacation that he couldn't change or something like that. But no.
Also as we were talking too, that's you said that this movie was like a pre-Hallmark movie.
Yeah, it felt like a big budget Hallmark film.
Yeah, just with a lot more mustache.
Yeah, and because it's a big budget, a lot more locations than just The Office, the Christmas tree farm,
the coffee shop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Candy Cane Lane.
Exactly. It's a little bit more stretch of the travel budget than what they had to offer there.
The Wreath Farm.
Exactly. But no, three men and a little lady. I've got the plot, so you got the characters.
Yeah, so not a big cast list here. No. So I mean we have the titular 3 men, of course. We have Tom Selleck as Peter. He's the serious one. He's the architect. He's math and science guy. We have Steve Guttenberg, the one and only Steve Guttenberg, as Michael. He's the cartoonist. He's a
satirist.
Satirist. There we go.
Yeah, like he corrects, I think, 2 people in the movie on that one.
He didn't even know they were rolling the cameras either.
No, I'm a satirist.
I'm a satirist. And action. And he's kind of like, I guess, maybe the sentimental one, I think, of the 3. His character of the 3, he was the hardest to define. And then we have Ted Danson as Jack, who is the biological father of said little lady. And he is an actor. He's the goofball. He's the unreliable one. He's reliably unreliable, that kind of thing.
Does Mary know that Jack is her like true father?
I think so.
Because at no point in this film does she ever call him Dad. It's just Jack. Which is okay. But it's like, of any of the 3 guys for her to call Dad, it would have been Jack. Yeah. And the other 2 wouldn't have blinked because obviously you're the father.
Yeah.
And they address it in the film, but never really when she's around. So it's just curious. Like, it's Jack.
I guess I never thought of that, but I would think so, because they're pretty honest with her.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty open.
Yeah. We have, speaking of Mary, we have Robin Weissman as Mary, the titular little lady of the film. Her mother, Sylvia, played by Nancy Travis. We have her fiance, Edward, played by Christopher Casanova. Sure, why not? We've got, I'm saving the best for last year, by the way.
Yeah.
We've got John Boswell as Edward's butler. We have Sheila Hancock as Vera, Sylvia's mother. And we have the amazing Fiona Shaw as Miss Elspeth Lomax, a neighbor to Edward back in England, and the head mistress of the Pileforth Academy for Girls.
Giving off strong Molly Shannon vibes.
Yeah.
Like, I almost put Superstar.
She was great in this.
She was. She went on to play Aunt Petunia in the Harry Potter series. Yeah. Like, she's Harry's aunt, Dursley.
She was also in Andor, that Star Wars movie from last year. And she's been in a lot of stuff, but I will say she knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah, she really did.
She stole every scene she was in.
It's interesting looking at the poster, just stupid Hollywood politics as they get in the way. Because you look at the movie poster and you've got 3 men and a little lady, and you've got Guttenberg, Selleck, and Danson in that order standing on the screen. But then, of course, because Tom Selleck needs top billing, his name is above Steve Guttenberg's head. Steve Guttenberg's name is above Tom Selleck's, and Ted Danson aligns with his own name. So it's just like, no wonder everyone looks confused.
Sorry, Gutenberg. Step aside.
Right. Your name is Tom now. Like, if you didn't know, then you would think that that's the names of the gentlemen, and be right a third of the time. So,
I mean, yeah, it's 3-1 odds. You're going to be right. All right. Hey, what do we got for the plot of Three Men and a Little Lady?
Plot-wise, this movie, I mean, technically it fits a 3-act structure, but really it's, this movie could almost, not because of length, but just because of the divide, could almost benefit from intermission. Just to give some
Let's
time.
all go to the lobby.
Right. Just to give some time jump between a couple of things. But anyway, we pretty much pick up where we left off, but 5 years later. Peter, Michael, and Jack, Mary, and Sylvia all still live together in the greatest apartment New York has ever seen.
Yeah, they show moving in, like they're painting like a mural of the three men.
Yeah.
As I was taking notes, I always capitalize the M in men as I was taking notes.
Well, they are the 3 wise men in this Jesus tale.
They're kind of painted that way in some ways.
In some ways, yeah. Mary's now 5, so this living arrangement has been happening for half a decade now. And really, the movie sets us up to believe early something that makes sense. The first movie was based on babies left on the doorstep of these 3 bachelors. Watch the hilarity ensue as these 3 men who have no interest in a child have to come together and raise a child because it is Jack's daughter. And even though they are womanizing and et cetera, at the core they are. They all have hearts of gold, and they put those aside, et cetera, whatever. I keep saying that. But the movie really does kick off to leading us to believe that it's like, aha, hey, remember when these 3 guys had to deal with a baby? Guess what? Now they're going to have to deal with a 5-year-old. And which, as a father, and you are too, is different. Like, huge difference. So everybody's still doing what they do. Peter's an architect. Michael, like you said, still, draws his cartoons. Jack is leading everyone to believe he's a more successful actor than he is.
He's Jack.
Jack.
He's got projects. He's got plate spinning, or at least he thinks he does. And I got to fly off to Brazil for this part.
Yeah.
I'm in this commercial.
Right. And they're all pretty much commercial work. Sylvia, though, because she has these 3 men to take care of her child, has the freedom to go on and become a super successful stage actress. It's like, I've got 3 live-in Mr. Nannies at home. So
that could have been another one. For the
easily,
movie version, Mr. Nanny.
So there's nothing standing in my way of success. And so, we set the story really. She's a famous actress. She's dating her director. He wants to marry her, but he also wants to move to England because he's been asked to, direct a play over there that he's like one of his bucket list kind of items.
Yeah, and a Midsummer Night's Dream. He's been asked to direct a Shakespeare,
and he's like, you got to come with me. And of course, she's like, as politely as possible, because really, there's only like 35 seconds of this movie where Sylvia like doesn't smile. I can't take Mary from the guys, et cetera, which of
from
course,
the 3 men.
Yeah. That's how she refers to them. I can't take the little lady away from the 3 men.
Say the line.
Yeah. There was no titular line in this one. So I left that off like 3 good. But just, I don't know how to affect Mary. And so we get just a series of just clips, really. I mean, of minor scenes, but
just little vignettes of them interacting with Mary, and then her mom comes over.
We're giving Steve Guttenberg just enough to do to warrant him still being in the movie. Giving
like that might come up later.
Same with Ted Danson, and they both take their role and do it just fine. But really, what we're doing is laying the groundwork that Sylvia and Peter really care about each other. And so, in case you didn't pick that up, when just the way they look at each other and how Peter's always there for her. And I mean, it's a wrecking ball coming in to knock you in the head with how obvious it is.
Yeah.
But in case you're an idiot and still didn't pick it up, mom comes to visit.
Mm-hmm. Vera.
Why? I don't know. It doesn't really matter why, but she comes just to move the exposition along as
to be a foil.
Yeah, basically of like, Sylvia, what do you want? And she's like, I want to get married. I want to have more kids. And she's like, well, Edward will provide that to you. Or is there a architect with a mustache standing in the way? Like
the camera pans over and he's just sitting right there.
Because he's always there with Sylvia. Which is kind of funny because like Vera's not around much. Like she lives in England. She comes to visit and then suddenly is Sylvia talking to her mom about Peter a lot? Or is this just something that, because like, I think she goes out to dinner with Vera before she even comes back to the apartment with the guys. And suddenly she's like, oh, is it Peter you're really lusting after? And of course, Vera knows everything about Peter. She's like, well, I'll tell you, unless he could admit his true feelings to you.
Yeah.
It's just very...
Mom's got him pegged.
Yeah.
Men aren't good at sharing their feelings and emotions, dear.
I just thought it was odd that they gave Vera the last name of Plot Driver. Vera Plot Driver.
Vera Plot Driver. It was right there at her luggage.
Yeah. She wore a name tag to dinner with her daughter. It was
table for two, Plot Driver.
Plot Driver.
Plot Driver.
You guys sit right here next to red herrings. But that's really Mom's purpose of the film, is to just really lay out there the open.
Yeah.
You have feelings for Peter. Peter won't admit his feelings for you. So you got to go find someone else.
And you got to get married.
Yeah. Got to get married.
Because that's what women do, right? They get married.
Because clearly the first film has proven you can't have a child without marriage first. And so Sylvia's like, I do want to get married. And thankfully, Edward has already asked me. So he should have no problem with me changing my mind. And so she accepts his proposal, and then this is like all in an afternoon.
That box was checked.
we don't see Sylvia change her mind with Edward. We just see that the mind has been changed. Like, she basically comes home one day. She's like, guess what, everybody? I'm engaged to Edward. Mary and I are moving to England tomorrow. It's cool. Don't worry.
Yeah, and prior to that, she was always kind of meh about Edward.
Yeah, he's there, and he cares about me way.
Fine.
He cares about me way more than he cares, that I care about him. But
now we're getting married.
Because I have to get married.
Gotta get married.
I almost put the wedding singer in here too.
Yeah,
because it is a lot of Julia Gulia, just kind of like, well, I guess I'll marry him.
There's a lot of John Lovitz in this movie too.
There's a lot of John. The movie wouldn't have suffered from John Lovitz.
John Lovitz as Vera,
and so, but he goes out to dinner with Sylvia, the same character that he goes out to dinner with Jennifer Aniston in that episode of Friends. Where you probably haven't seen it, but he's basically Debbie Downer, just tears himself apart. And so Edward, so Sylvia invites Edward to the apartment because clearly she has two love interests, Edward and Peter, and there aren't any scenes of the two of them, so we have to put them together.
Yeah.
We have to show their differences. I mean, very safe writing in the film, really. It was...
There's not a lot of chances that are taken here. Again, it's not that kind of movie.
No.
This movie is not trying to pull anything over on you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the red herrings were at the table next to the plot driver. That's about as close as the red herrings got.
So Sylvia invites Edward to the apartment. Why? Don't know. She just does. Peter basically lays into him. I don't think you're going to be a good father for Mary.
Yeah, basically calls him a phony.
Yeah, I don't think you're the right one.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting for Peter, because Peter, as the architect, he's the one that's facts and figures and objectivity and, very emotionally distant. And but his instincts, I don't know what it is. There's just something about this guy.
Yeah. And he's covering all these thoughts. He's including Sylvia, but he's just mentioning Mary. Like,
Edward agrees to buy her a pony.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he calls and Peter calls him on it, and he's like, "So what else are you gonna buy? You gonna buy her love and affection too?"
Right. Like, that's and I'm like,
and he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
But he came in hot on that.
Yeah,
one.
he really did. Like he was. We saw Inside Out 2 this weekend, and there's a lot more anger in that one than there.
Same.
And so it's that vibe of like he's going in all Lewis Black. Like, I'm not going to try and like walk on eggshells around this. I'm just going to call it what it is.
Yeah.
So Edward obviously his feathers have been ruffled, so he leaves. And Sylvia, I object, sir. Sylvia then, turns her smile upside down to confront Peter. It's just like, that you were way out of line. It's like, you weren't thinking about Mary. You're just thinking about yourself. Like, you don't want Mary out of your life. And of course, Peter's like, or you, like, it's right there. It's thick as could be.
Yeah.
You just don't want him out of your life. You're selfish. You're just selfish. And it's like that unlocked a cheat code for Peter. It was it's like, you called me selfish? Like, you left your daughter on our doorstep 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. He went right after it. He knew how to get her.
And, and then you hear, it was weird because then you hear kick in like, finish him. as Sylvia just delivers a roundhouse smack to the face. I think she twirled. Like, she did the Carrie Von Erich Texas Tornado, like, spin to wind it up.
Yep. Or like the Hogan, where like he windmills his arm and then stops it and goes and punches in the other direction.
It's always, even as a kid, cracked me up how he'd windmill the wrong direction.
Yeah, and then he completely stops.
Screw momentum. I'm the Hulkster.
Yeah. Physics don't apply to me.
Nope.
Or my Hulkamaniacs. Let's hear it,
brothers.
Yeah, she just slaps.
Yeah,
him.
It is hard.
And you're right. She winds up. She at least like turns her torso like 180 degrees and just boom.
And he takes it. I mean, he deserved it. He knew he deserved it.
Slaps the mustache right off of him,
which really puts Sylvia in the driver's seat of like, well, pack your bags, Mary. We're out. Like, because it's literally like the next day. Cars picking them up. We're going to England. Cut to
the limo picking them up and taking them to the airport.
This would have been prior to the next day, like smack intermission. Like, give our audience a chance to breathe, because even a 10-minute intermission would have given the audience, us, a little bit of time to just wait. Because again, it was, hey, here's Edward. You know Edward, because Edward knows them all. He says, he greets them by name. He knows who they all are.
Sylvia Plot Driver had to get her back to England, though.
It was just like, and then the next day we're off.
And now they're in England, and there we are.
And so we get the three bachelors home without the ladies, depressed, trying to figure out what are we going to do.
Yeah, because this has been their life for the past 5 years.
Yeah. And so they're like, you know what? Let's throw one of those parties we used to throw.
Yeah. It's like when we were bachelors, right? Because we are bachelors.
Yeah. And it's like, okay,
we're three men.
Yeah. And
Sans little lady.
Get her out of here. Let's get back to the movie we want to watch.
Three men. Period.
And so
that's the movie I want to watch.
Right. We just we spent a whole month doing it. This really was just a segue film for us. We got the men and the lady in the title.
Checking all the boxes.
Right? And so there are my notes. So they have this party, and do you think they just put like an all you on the sidewalks of New York?
All you. I think so. They just took some sidewalk chalk out there.
Right. Yeah. Because this party is like the night that they left for England. Like nothing waits. I know that everything happens in a New York minute, apparently.
Yeah.
They left for New York. Like, then they sat there for 10 minutes being like, man, we sure are lonely. Let's have a party. Cut to
the party.
Cut to the party. Like,
cut to Technotronic playing.
Yeah. I get the vibe of that evening. So
get up, get busy, do it, get up and move that body.
Get up, people, now get to it.
For the night is over.
It's like, let's just forget Mary. So we, but like, let's have a party. Let's do it, and cut to the party. And and it doesn't show up in my bads because it wasn't bad enough. But this is one where it's like the cut from scene to scene, the time jump was very, like confusing. Like, yes, Sylvia and Mary leave for the UK the very next day. And I'm like, okay, that could have slowed it down. Give us a couple scenes of goodbyes, like something to slow it down. But it's like, you guys left the very next day. So same day, hey, let's have a party. And then it feels like that party's happening the same day. Like,
plot's not going to drive itself, Oz.
Like, this was a big 24 hours. We went from having two ladies in our home to a party. Like, I'm like, you guys, there were no calls of how you got your guests, where you got your catering. Like,
nope.
So they've got a party. Really, the whole point of the party was just to showcase how they could fill their lives with people and still be void because they
still be empty
because the people they care about are gone.
Yeah. Mary was their purpose. Yeah. And now they don't have that.
We get kind of a silly and dumb, they're all trying to schmooze a little bit.
They're trying to get back into their bachelor lifestyle.
Yeah. Michael is sitting on the couch with a woman showing her pictures of Mary.
Yeah. He's just got the big photo album.
Peter he's talking up some young lady. Then he goes to change the tape, which was, granted, I don't have the money for a sound system like that, especially in 1990, but it's like he's playing one tape in one, one cassette deck, and then it cuts to Rubber Ducky in the other one. And then, which it was kind of funny to me because Rubber Ducky's playing and then just keeps playing and keeps playing. Like, at no point did Peter hit stop. Like, oh, sorry, everybody, wrong tape.
Whoops.
It was, but you get the vibe that it's like, then the people that they're talking about why they weren't at the party they're all like parents now. Like, oh, well, I thought he was coming. Well, he couldn't come. His kid said something. And, I did skip out on a scene earlier when Sylvia was like, I want to get married. And so the guys are like, well, let's put a prospect list together for her.
Yeah.
And of course they had, Peter is like coming up with valid reasons why every single person on the list is not good enough. He's too short. He's not funny enough or whatever. And so leaving, of course, just even more heavy-handed. Peter is the guy. So, party doesn't work. Michael and Peter decide, we weren't going to go to the wedding because, again, the wedding is like the next day, apparently.
Yeah, because that's how time moves.
It's a busy week.
In the three meniverse.
Right. Well, to be fair, it is a different time zone in England. So
instead of being like 6 hours ahead, they're like 6 months ahead.
Time is relative.
It's 6 months ahead over there.
So
especially if you fly over the Pacific.
Well, and especially with with Edward and Sylvia living in New York, like, who's planning all of this wedding in England? Because, again, big deal. Vera plot driver.
The butler was doing
and
it.
So
with his pants around his ankles.
Michael and Peter decide, let's go. Let's just go. Let's go to England.
We miss Mary.
We also miss Sylvia. Let's go to England. They show up. It's like rehearsal dinner that they walk in on. Luckily, the men have vast knowledge of how to get anywhere in England.
Yes.
Anywhere. Just rent a car and drive because you'll find.
Just go and you'll get there.
So they come across, to let us know they're in England. They flood a road with sheep. They drive on the wrong side of the road. Like, ha ha ha. I almost put European Vacation in my movie marriage.
Stupid Americans.
Dummies. Even if you are Tom Selleck. So
he really defines America in a lot of ways. Tom Selleck.
He does.
Reverse mortgages,
stealing water to keep your avocado farm in California like fed. So he got. Did you hear about that several years ago? Yeah, he doesn't even like avocados, but he has an avocado farm. And
of course he does.
And I guess he's not even like profiting on it. He just grows avocado. But of course, California is, drought town USA. Yeah. And so he had gotten in some trouble a few years ago because he was like disobeying the law, like the drought laws, and stealing water or whatever, overusing water. Gets a little slap on the wrist. So yeah, he absolutely is Mr. America.
He ran a garden hose from the neighbor's pool.
There was
and he like, to get it going, he did the thing where you like siphon fuel
at night. He's like, ski mask over, like no one's gonna see me. Cuts a hole out for his mustache.
Yeah. Just the mustache.
What I think happened, and because we never truly saw it, is there was that time in the WWE where like Hogan was suspended and came out as like this like Mr. America wrestling guy, where he clearly was Hulk Hogan, but he just had like a mask on, and I think it was Tom Selleck.
He called them the 24-inch anacondas.
Exactly. These are pythons or boas. So this is where like the second movie that we're watching happens when they get to England. They go to visit Mary. They walk up. Sylvia is just beside herself. So joyed to see him, despite the fact that last time I talked to you, I smacked you in the face for insulting me and my future husband. But it's totally fine. I'm glad you guys are here.
Mary's thrilled to see
Mary is thrilled. They get there for the rehearsal dinner. We see Edward, who we know is dastardly because he has to be dastardly.
Well, yeah, they've been seeding little things in there. Like one of the things, like one of the first scenes with him back in England is he's just kind of like coldly reading a newspaper next to Mary, and like he's like criticizing Sylvia's cooking and criticizes Mary for how she holds a teacup,
right?
And like little things like that to kind of like, oh yeah, he is the dastardly
bad guy, but also like not terrible bad, like
I mean, he's not like hitting him, right? Or like physically abusing. He's just distant and cold and selfish,
right? So we see when they show up, Edward already has a plan in action, apparently, as he goes. This is where we meet Miss Lomax, the headmistress of the private school that Edward is planning on sending Mary to, like, probably tomorrow.
Because he just wants Sylvia. He doesn't want the baggage that is Mary.
No. And so, he tells Lomax, like, hey, Peter there? Which, of course, is the dastardly handsome Tom Selleck.
The dastardly Edward, but the dastardly handsome Tom Selleck.
Well, yeah, because, why not? I had that word in my vocabulary today. That was my word of the day.
It's in your wheelhouse.
That's right. Caught an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse before recording, and that was the word of the day. So
dastardly. Yeah. Bang, 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 bang,
bang. And so he goes up to Lomax, Lomax, she is amazing in this movie. She's such an idiot. Because
but she's a headmistress, so she has to be well educated.
I guess. But so Edward goes up to Lomax and was like, "Hey, Peter's secretly interested in you." And she's like, "Who?" That guy who literally just walked into this rehearsal dinner. He likes you. But
really,
but he plays hard to get. So put it on thick. And so Peter and Sylvia apologize to each other for the fight that they had like 37 hours ago.
Or 6 months. Depending on which ocean you cross.
Exactly. When you cross the Atlantic, you lose time. So the wedding's coming on. Peter's concerned. Mary says he doesn't like me. He yells at me. Peter and Michael realize Edward's plan to send Mary to Pileforth, which is why Lomax is around so much. Of course, Edward denies it. Sylvia, because she's in love, I guess. I don't know. She refuses.
She just wants to get married.
Yeah, that's just it. I've lived 5 years with 3 men that take care of me and all of my needs. But you know what? Not all of my needs.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, if you know what I mean. And it's like, Jack has at some point. So Sylvia doesn't want to believe Peter. She's like, you just don't like Edward, which isn't wrong. Yeah. Jack, who, for reasons, I mean, I'm in Brazil filming a movie, but really he was filming a Fruit of the Loom commercial.
Yeah.
In Brazil,
the big bowl of fruit on his head.
Brazil, because it was cheaper to just go to Brazil than recreate Brazil.
I mean, the fruit was a lot cheaper there. It was all about the hat. It was cheaper to go film on location in Brazil.
We pay Jack so little; it's cheaper to just take him to Brazil than it is to buy fruit in the States. Yeah. Jack works for less than scale.
He actually owes them money, right? and he had to pay for the fruit too.
That's true. He brought his own. So Jack shows up like mid argument, as really no other reason than to be another actor, which comes into play later on. Sylvia and Edward leave. This is where Peter admits to Jack that I do love Sylvia, because Peter basically like, you love her? Yeah, I do. But
it's a sweet little scene.
It really is
between the two of them, because Jack, for all of his kind of nonsense and whatnot, he's there for his friend.
Yeah,
it really is a sweet scene.
And so he's like, because Jack, I didn't show my feelings out of respect for you. Yeah. And Jack's like, oh, dude, it's fine. Like, it's like, look. I don't love Sylvia that way. She doesn't love me. I would have tried to make it work for Mary, but it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
You love her. She loves you. Go for it. And so Peter's like, okay, good. And so this is where, really, now that all the hurdles are out of the way, there's one more finish line to cross, and that's to prove that Edward wants to send Mary to the boarding school.
Yeah.
So
super spy Tom Selleck,
right, who
puts on that same mask,
the same one he steals water
to siphon the water with a mustache cut out.
Thankfully, he knows his way around England, because apparently the school is 70,000 miles away.
Yeah,
it's on the other side of the island. So he breaks into Pileforth to get proof. Lomax conveniently hits up her office at the same time Peter is there. He just hides in a closet of emotion. She finds him there. First is flattered, like, ooh,
there's Tom Selleck in my closet.
She thinks he's here for her, so she throws herself at him.
Quite literally throws herself at him.
Yeah, literally throws herself. He's he just keeps like deflecting her. No. He gets away, and of course she's just like, he's playing hard to get,
You must be hungry. Come, let me satisfy your appetite.
Right,
some great lines.
Oh yeah. She really is great in this movie. But he gets away with the evidence he needs, because he was there long enough to find the one slip of paper, et cetera, et cetera. So he's on his way back because it's the day of the wedding. Again, everything happens in fast forward in the three metaverse.
I'm chuckling. I'm looking at my notes. That's right. As he's trying to like de-escalate things with her, he just tells her, "I'm impotent."
Yeah, and she's like, "Ooh."
And I find that so charming in a man. Your mustache says otherwise.
Exactly. And so his car breaks down on the way back, because it's wedding day.
Because that things happen.
As car breaks down on the way back. Thankfully, though, he's in England, where there's still like red phone boxes.
Yeah, and there's only one. And there's only one road that connects everything.
That's it. And there's just one phone there. Thankfully, it breaks down. So he gets he amazingly, he knows the number of where Peter
the direct line to the guest room.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just so many like plot conveniences.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's they hand wave it away.
Exactly. And so he's talking to Michael. He's like, "Hey, you got to delay things. The car broke down.
Stall the wedding."
So Michael comes up with a plan I'm going to take the vicar and basically grab him at breakfast and tell him, "Oh, everything's been changed," which at the pace of this movie thus far shouldn't be shocking.
Yeah.
We changed things in the last 7 minutes. So guess what? The wedding is now over here. down this road. It's probably going the other direction on the same road.
Other way. Yeah.
We're going to take you to this other church. They walk in. Of course, the vicar is just like, okay. He's just been eating breakfast, but apparently is already 3 sheets to the wind. His whole performance is very just drunkard, but he's not. It's bizarre. Like, he doesn't give any thought to anything that's happening.
Really Irished up his coffee that morning.
Walks in, so Michael drops him off at this church as he runs inside, grabs the book. Michael realizes last second that it's a funeral he's running into.
Dearly beloved,
we're here for this glorious day. As
everyone is dressed in black.
The casket didn't look very big. Like, they had a child's funeral.
I didn't realize that. That got dark really fast.
Yeah, I noticed that when he walked in. The casket it wasn't very big, so maybe it was just the camera angle. But I'm like, watch this vicar go in and talk about how great it is to be at this kid's funeral.
This tragic event.
Stephen King doesn't even do that. No. And so so as Peter's running, he's running back. The car pulls up. And it's Miss Lomax on her way to the wedding, who, to be honest, was also going to be very late to the same wedding that Peter's going to. So in the car, Peter just lays it all out. We don't see it, of course. We see him get in the car, realize it's her, and then
he finally comes clean.
He just comes clean, and she's great about it. That's fine. Opens up that Edward's sending Mary to school next term. Yeah. Edward had talked to Sylvia about it because they pointed out that, hey, Lomax has been fitting Mary for a uniform, which Sylvia's like, is this true? Edward is like, it's a gift. It's a gift. What are you talking about, Sylvia?
All of my clothing gifts come from the headmistress at the local private school.
It's just a gift. It's totally not a big deal. We just want her to dress European. So they show up. Their car breaks down again. Well, no, they don't. The car doesn't break down.
She takes a shortcut and puts her car in a local creek.
Which, the tractor driver's like, yeah, getting that out.
Thanks.
He's eating his apple. He's got his page boy hat on.
It's what's his name from? Oh god, yeah, you ain't getting that out of there.
It is. It's
Fred Gwynn.
Fred Gwynn.
Fred Gwynn. Yeah.
Up here, you bury your own.
Yeah, you're not getting that car out of that creek.
Brown sour. So we get just goofiness where they get in a motorcycle with a sidecar.
Yeah, because that's the vehicle the farmer had.
And so, and apparently you just borrow a bike in England. Yeah. You need it, take it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, back at the ceremony, Jack is there.
Yeah, Jack steps in as the replacement vicar, which was odd because Edward's talking to Vera, and Vera's like, "Don't worry, there's someone on the way." She called somewhere, to bring in another pastor, and then Jack shows up. Now, granted, that was the plan anyway, but that other vicar never showed up.
Jack knocked him out outside with a tire iron.
To be fair, the plan would have worked out better if Jack did nothing, because Vera called in another vicar, and Jack showed up before the other vicar.
Yeah.
So you would have just had everybody sitting around waiting for this other guy to show up. Instead, Jack's like, let's get going on this proceedings because I'm an actor and I need to fool Sylvia. So fun.
Jack has this whole makeup rig, and so he's done up like an old man.
Exactly.
And he's presiding over the ceremony.
And it's very obvious Ted Danson because the camera never leaves his face.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we know it's Ted Danson, obviously, but it's no one else there realizes that it's Jack when it's obviously Jack. He does do a good job. It was a fun bit. Anyone at all? Anyone? Ma'am, did you raise your hand back there?
No, you, fourth over.
So Peter and Lomax show up at the chapel. This is after Jack had already, quote unquote, married Edward and Sylvia, even though it's not official because he's not a man of the church. So Peter shows Sylvia the truth. Here's the paper. And even Lomax is like, it's true. Like, yeah, Edward's been lying to you. Sylvia just looks at Edward. Is this true? And Mary's like, no, they're all just lying. And then Mary says something.
She says, oh, what a cry.
Yeah, oh, what a cry. And
which is something Peter had said earlier in the movie. Yeah, and where did she learn that from?
And so Edward's like, you shut up. He just yells at her.
He yells, shut up, you little S-word at her. Which, like, whoa, he came in hot on that one.
Right. To which then Peter, this was a real bad cut.
the very fake punch.
Yeah, Peter places his fist against Edward's forehead. like there was no why. Like, should let Mary do it. Mary, as we see, could really land a blow. Yeah. Peter just pushes his arms out and
I had that in my notes here as well. Peter punches Edward out in a very fake punch.
Very fake.
It's one of those where, like, Peter's in the foreground, Edward's in the background, and they're obviously like 10 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
But he just kind of punches towards his head.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Sylvia's like, I'm going home. You guys, you get what you want. I'm going home. Going back to New York. It's like, you were going to get married. And then it's like, I guess I'll just go back to living with you three. Like, totally fine. I'll just go back to being a Broadway star. So this is where finally what the whole entire movie's about. Peter stops her, declares this love.
Yeah.
Edward's like, it's too late. We're married. And this is when Jack peels his face off. He's like, ha, it's me. The one you didn't think could act. Yeah. So no, obviously the marriage isn't valid, it's not valid. Peter then asks Sylvia to marry him. The vicar's there. The vicar's like, well, why not? So they have a wedding anyway. And
as Waiting for a Star to Fall plays.
Yeah, Mary
waited for a star to fall.
Again, a very safe and vanilla song. Yeah. It's a fine song. Like, you listen to it, you're like, yeah, this song slaps a little bit. And then you're like, oh, I haven't listened to it in 30 years, but yeah, I remember that song.
That's where I belong, in your arms, baby.
Yeah. That falls into the same category of like 80s song that everybody does the dinosaur, that song.
Open the floor, get on,
open the door, get
on the floor. Everybody walk that dinosaur.
You're like, that song's all right. And then you're like,
I want to walk the dinosaur too.
Let me do that. Doesn't quite have the appeal of Wang Chunging, but it's not far behind.
No, it's an A- version of Wang Chung.
And so Mary throws her bouquet. Jack catches it with this shocked look on his face, freeze frame for 7 years.
As he's looking at the camera.
Which it's one of those, like, Jack was a pretty inconsequential character in this entire film. So it's not like there was it'd have been different if, like, Lomax was into Jack, and then Jack catches the bouquet, and it's like, oh. But it's like,
then Lomax like dips him for a big kiss.
Like, there was no female interest. So for this whole traditional, the one who catches the bouquet is the next one to get married. They're all three of them were bachelors. Like, matter of fact, like, Michael actually wanted to go further with his girlfriend.
Edward catches the bouquet.
Yeah. That would have been fun. You're the next one, Edward. So, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Three Men and a Little Lady.
Yeah. What a cute little movie.
It was. It was a fun movie.
Yeah. So, hey, folks, at this point in the show, Oz and I give our own unique rating about the film we've been yapping about. Again, 1990's Three Men and a Little Lady. Hey, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this 5 dastardly British people.
There you go. 5 dastardly Brits.
What about you?
I'm going to give this 71 pointless Gutenbergs.
Nope, that's not far either.
Again, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Is it a great movie? No. Is it even a good movie? Not really.
No.
But it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's got some fun performances. It's got a cute little plot. everything wraps up neatly. There's some fun bits.
It's a bag of steamed vegetables. It's not bad for you. It will fill a void. It doesn't taste terrible.
I'm never going to think of Green Giant the same way.
Bird's eye. It's one
bird's eye vegetables.
Because like my wife will tease me sometimes because we don't always have a lot of food around the house. We eat out more than we want to, but it's just handy. But it's like we always seem to have like bags of vegetables in the freezer or whatever. And sometimes on a weekend for lunch when they're like, when everyone's just kind of eating at their own pace, I'll just throw a bag of steamed vegetables in the microwave and like just put some seasoning on it and then eat it. She's just like, oh, how can you do it? I'm like, there are far worse things I could be eating than this.
Yeah.
Like for me,
you're upset with me for eating vegetables.
Yeah. This isn't about, I'm not eating this for taste. I'm eating this for substance. So let's move forward.
I need to not be hungry anymore.
Yeah. And that's kind of where this movie fits in is it's fine. There are far worse ways you could spend your time. There are better ways you could spend your time, but this isn't. Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it was an enjoyable little movie. Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I anticipated.
I agree, and I'm gonna find a beautiful Steve Guttenberg photo for the YouTube.
I mean, I would like to think that every Guttenberg photo is beautiful.
But... I'm looking at them right now. Not all of them. This one though is at his hunkiest.
Oh, yeah, as hunky as Steve Guttenberg gets.
He's a cute guy. Like, I can understand why. I mean, he was never, like, heartthrob status. Mm-hmm. But Police Academy movies, Cocoon, he was competent as an actor. Like, you almost wonder, like, why didn't it take off for Steve Guttenberg? One of my favorite Guttenberg movies, honestly, is, it's gone by several different titles. Jamie Gertz is in it. Mm. And he plays her brother. That is like a real dweeb, like just a big loser. I forgot he was in Short Circuit as well. Just plays a big loser. And I want to say he's a writer. Give me just a second to find it because it is a fun.
I know I'm thumbing through here too.
I think Shelley Long is in it. Where's it at?
Bad Medicine. The Bedroom Window.
The Boyfriend School. That's not what I remember the name. I remember the name being Don't Tell Her It's Me.
Original title, Don't Tell Her It's Me.
Yeah. Yeah, but Shelley Long, Jamie Gertz, Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Matt Chanamick, Steve Guttenberg.
Beth Grant.
Yeah. So he's a cartoonist. That's what he does. That's probably why he was so
satirist.
That's probably why this came out the same year.
Yeah.
So he probably was like, no.
Typecast.
Cartoonist in this movie, satirist in the other. But he survived, like it says here, he survived cancer treatment, and his sister's a romance novelist. She's trying to set him up with a woman. Well, basically, she makes him into one of her romance novel characters. So that he can find love. But of course it's not him. I guess Jamie Gertz is the lover and Shelley Long is the sister. Something like that. It's a fun movie. It really isn't bad. I remember watching that a lot on HBO because he really goes through this big transformation in this movie because he's like cancer survivor, pudgy, like he's just trying to get his life back together. And they show those scenes of him working out, and then he's just like hunky. I think his name was Gus, and I think he goes by Lobo. I think his name's like Lobo Moronga. But he's got a bald cap at one point because of the cancer treatment. It's a sweet movie. Like okay. I have it, and it's been a while since I watched it. But
whenever we have Jamie Gertz month.
I would do a Jamie Gertz month. Lost Boys, Less Than Zero. Add that on. I would do a Jamie Gertz month. All right, so that's you had Guttenbergs.
Yes, 71 pointless Guttenbergs. Next up, folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well in our segment titled Outside Insights. Hey, Oz, what is your outside insight for Three Men and a Little Lady?
This outside insight is it's a perfect it captures this movie perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's from Deborah Clary back in February this year. It's a 5-star review.
Recent one for Three Men and a Little Lady.
It's a 5-star. It's a 5-star review. The title is A Movie.
She's not wrong.
The review, love it.
Doesn't need a lot of words. That's that good.
5 stars.
Love it. Mic drop.
It's a movie. I love it.
It's a movie. Love it. So that's all you need to say.
That's my insight.
It really does capture everything.
What do you got?
Sold me. Mine comes from MWM Tampa from the Internet Movie Database, left in May of 2003.
Okay.
10 out of 10. So again, similar to yours, somebody who really enjoyed it. Outstanding sequel, far better than the original, is the subject line. After being only mildly entertained by the first movie, I was absolutely awestruck by the sequel. Outstanding acting by the big 3 man. I would have to rate this as one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Wow.
This movie has no gaps or letdowns, and I could not stop watching it. I've easily seen it a dozen times or more and just caught it again last week on Showtime. Let me cite some of the extraordinary scenes in this flick. The rap song by the Big 3, amazing. The Big 3's kitchen scene regarding the discussion of possible suitors for Sylvia. The Bachelor swinging NYC party scene. Selleck's blonde was a major fox. Fiona Shaw's pursuit of Tom Selleck in the Academy. And the ending's madcap frenzy. What a movie! This person loved 3 Men and a Little Lady. Top 10 all time.
Wow. He's only seen 10 movies, but
it is in the top 10. Oh God. Yeah. So this movie, MWM Tampa loved it. 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Pelican Brief is real spicy for this person.
Pelican Brief. Well, hey, folks, it is time for our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I will each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question, 3 Men and a Little Lady. Hey, Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is just caring father figures in this film.
Yeah.
It is nice to see that these bachelors have put aside their lifestyle for 5 years to care for this little girl. And
even early in the film, that kind of becomes a thing where, like, Gutenberg's character, Michael, like, because one of their standing rules is you can't have overnight guests while Mary is there.
Right.
And he's kind of getting frustrated by it. Yes. It's getting in the way of his love life.
Right. But he still, he brings one home, but Mary comes downstairs and he just tends to Mary. Like, and the love interest is fine with it. Like, it is what it is. So it is nice because not only are they being there for Mary, but they're also being there for each other. Yeah. Like, at no point over the last 5 years, I don't think anybody would have blinked an eye if Michael decided, you know what, guys, I love you. I love Mary. I love Sylvia. But I've got, like Sylvia, I've got my own needs. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of them would have been like, you sell out, it's just self, it's like, okay, but they didn't. They pulled together as 3 like great father figures for this little girl. My second good is honestly real solid performances and what's a clear cash grab. Like, is a very probably the success of the first one probably came out of nowhere a little bit. And so hey, let's saddle up the horses and try it again. But really everybody brought their best effort. So pretty solid performances there. Lomax's actress, she's just a great sport because honestly, she's cast in a role where she's not supposed to be overly attractive. She's supposed but she just dives headfirst into it. Yeah. So, just a, great sport where, again, because it's the 90s, that's how we're dressing it up. We're not taking this beautiful actress and then throwing her in, like, pull her hair back and put on glasses and play ugly. We're taking an actress who, she's not Nancy Travis, but she's leaning into it and having fun with it and really going after it.
Fiona Shaw.
She did a great
I said
job.
it before. I'll say it again. She stole every scene she was in this movie.
And some of those scenes definitely needed stolen because they were, some of them ran a little long in the tooth or, but she was there and saved the day. So,
well, and it was one of those bits where, like, I think with a lesser actress, it wouldn't have worked.
No,
but she sold it so well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So those are my three goods. What do you got?
My three goods. I'll just start with just a general one. You know, like this is a harmlessly charming movie. Is it predictable? Yeah. Are there some obvious plot holes and time jumps? Of course there are. But I enjoyed this movie. It's a movie I could easily see watching with my kid and just having a good time with it. Again, is there a lot of substance to it? Are there any big meaningful messages? No, but it's a fun, charming movie. And again, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
When you texted me yesterday about, do you want to record today? I'm like, yeah, I'm finishing the last 45 minutes. The 45 minutes I spent watching the rest of this movie, we had been to Costco on Saturday, so we bought a dozen giant chocolate muffins. I cut them in half and put them in the freezer. Like, I've got the movie playing on my iPad as I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. It's one of those movies where it's like, and I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And then we're having our families over for the 4th of July. So I've got 6 pounds of hamburger that I need to patty up and get in the freezer.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing for the remainder of this film.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like, perfectly, like, I didn't miss a beat, and I didn't need 100% of my attention, and it was fine.
Yeah. So that's my first good. It's just charming movie.
I agree with.
My second good is this. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I really, really like the scene where it's just Peter and Jack, and Peter is finally letting his guard down and talking about his feelings for Sylvia, and Jack, for as goofy as he is, he is there for his friend. He's tuned in. He's empathetic. He's all ears. He's listening. He's supportive.
No, he's not cracking jokes. Like, every conversation he's been in this entire movie, he's the jokester.
Yeah, and even earlier in the film, when Sylvia is like, "I want to get married," and Jack walks up, almost kind of feeling obligated to do it. He's like, "Well, do you want to marry me?"
Yeah, like, let's do it.
Like, I love you, not romantically, but
right. And
like, he would be.
Yeah, and she says no. And he even just it's like, whew, and she wasn't offended by that.
No, she wasn't offended because she gets it. She gets him.
Yeah, she didn't want it either.
Yeah.
But she thought, that's very sweet of you to ask. But no, I don't want to marry you.
Yeah, that's not what I need. But and even in this scene, and we kind of talked about this last month with I Love You, Man, like, Jack just tells Peter, "I love you."
Yeah.
And again, it was a really sweet scene between these two good platonic male friends. And yeah. So that's my second good. And my last good is very specific, and that will be Tom Selleck's facial hair acting.
Mm-hmm. He's not really good at it.
His eyebrows, his
eyebrows
mustache.
Too, yeah.
He's moving the eyebrows around. He's moving that stash around.
I think he has 3 mustaches.
It's technically a mustache that's growing above his eyes. Yeah. Or it's just one very odd unibrow.
If you were to slice off his top layer of skin, it's just nothing but hair. Like, it's like Cousin It with a Tom Selleck face.
Yep. So that's my last good. Tom Selleck's facial hair acting.
Fair.
All right, hey, Oz, what are your two bads?
Like I mentioned earlier, and you of course agreed to it, a lot of the England stuff was just very uneven.
Yeah.
And it's just the speed of things. Originally, I had a bad that the opening credit sequence bothered me because they had it on like 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
But
I noted that as well.
And it was kind of unsettling because it wasn't fast enough to look like a time lapse, but it was still like, oh, you guys are moving, but just faster than you should be. Mm-hmm. But then when they got to the England stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, I see you are actually just foreshadowing that a lot of things are going to happen in a very short period of time.
At 150% speed.
So the England stuff was good. I mean, obviously, it's the plot of the movie shifted. Like I said earlier, we thought we were going to be watching a movie of these 3 bachelors, the mom and the daughter, as they're navigating school. Because they even have a conversation about going to school. At one point, she makes a comment about having a penis. So they're like, oh, this is where we're at in childhood. We're going to have a kid that knows things. And it's like, that's where I really thought the movie was headed. And then suddenly, sharp left turn, we're going to England.
Yeah.
And so the England stuff wasn't about 3 men and a little lady. It was about Peter and Sylvia. Yeah. And so the England stuff, just the first act and then the second and third acts, just, it felt almost like there were two separate films going on.
Well, I mean, if you title it "One Man and One Woman," also featuring two other men and a little lady, it just doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
Even as a subtitle, it doesn't. Like, you can get away with that with "Don't be a menace to society," well,
yes.
blah 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 blah. But yeah, that's what you're right. It doesn't flow. But that just the England stuff was a little uneven.
Sure.
And my second bad is, for the most part, the attempts at humor in this film just weren't funny. Like because the movie itself was pulling its punches a little bit, they could have gone real hardcore with the humor and they didn't. I felt like the parts that were supposed to be hilarious, I just like the rap scene.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up if you weren't.
But and it's like, that's not one of my bads. It's just an example of this bad. There's an attempt to be like, this is going to be funny, and it just wasn't. Like, and there were a few kind of jokes that just weren't funny. Like Mary playing hide and seek with like the old butler guy as he's wearing like the head of a suit of armor, and it's like, okay, like I get you're going for cute. Yeah. You're going for cute. And sometimes cute just isn't as funny as you think it is. And so that's my second bad, is like, there wasn't any part of this movie where I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's, I guess, my second bad. I was honestly struggling to find bads for this one. Because the movie was just so like milquetoast of, you know, this is what we told you would be on the menu and it's what you ate. So you can't be upset.
Yeah. Not a lot of highs and lows.
No, but it's very even throughout. So. Yeah. So those are my two bads. What do you
got? For my two bads, the first one, I'm going to say just the constant pressure on Sylvia, and part of it's from herself, but from her mother, and even from the guys to a degree, to get married.
Yeah. It's once she mentioned that's what she wants, that's all the rest of the movie was about.
Yeah. And it was more about like getting married was more important than like love or relationship or, you know, that. And
like the wedding singer thing I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good comp there. So, yeah, and eventually, of course, it worked out in the end, as you knew it would, because, but just that pressure kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
And the other one is, and also referencing another movie from last month, Michael's character is the third man.
Yes.
There's no point to his character in this movie other than he was in the first one, and now he has to be the third man.
Yeah, there is no point. And they try, there's a couple of parts of scenes that they try to give him. Really, the only time he has a chance to be the feature is when he breaks the rule and brings a woman home. Yeah. Other than that, he's, like you said, he's the second wheel, which normally there's not a second wheel, there's a third. Mm-hmm. But even when they go to England, it's Peter.
Yeah. And like Jack has a more important role and a more prominent role in the England stuff. Yeah. Even though he's not there as long as Michael is.
And it's like Jack almost feels like it's automatic because he's actually Mary's birth father. So like he gets grandfathered in as a important role anyway. But Michael just, and we don't even see him draw. Like at least in the first one, he was doing cartoons. In this one, he's like, that's why he has to tell everybody I'm a satirist, because nobody works in this film except Jack, really.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you got a bowl of fruit on your head.
That's true.
Straight from Brazil.
We're going to send you to the fruit, Jack. We're not taking the fruit out of Brazil.
We're not taking the fruit to you. We're moving
Can't pay customs.
I would argue that the only point that Michael had was kind of validating Sylvia's need for change.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when she's kind of like something needs to change. We've been doing this for 5 years. And Michael's like, I can't have a woman over and it's getting in the way.
Yeah.
So he kind of validated Sylvia a little bit, like her concerns. But other than that, he's just there.
Yeah. Which I like Steve Guttenberg. I know that no one's probably ever said that, including his love interests. But it's like, go ahead. I don't. Not, and I can't say I've seen his like entire filmography or even, but it's like everything he's in, he's fine.
Yeah, he's Steve Guttenberg.
Like he's like Cocoon was a big one. Short Circuit, like he's
the acting version of Three Men and a Little Lady.
Yeah. I mean,
he's just there. He's fine.
It's like he obviously has comedic chops in the Police Academy movies, and
My favorite reference to Steve Guttenberg doesn't even technically feature the actual Steve Guttenberg. It's the Stonecutters episode of The Simpsons, which is like the Stonecutters is like the stand-in for the Freemasons in The Simpsons.
Gotcha.
And there's a big song. And Patrick Stewart is voicing the leader of the local chapter.
Okay.
And so, of course, like every male in Springfield is there, and they have this big musical number. They're all sitting at the table eating ribs, and they have this big song, and it's it's all the things they've done, like who holds back the electric car, who made Steve Guttenberg a star, we do. And it's all of them at the table, and they cut to in this big song. There's Simpsons animated Steve Guttenberg like taking a bow, but he doesn't actually voice the. Right. It's just Steve Guttenberg is there.
It's just Simpsons form.
Yeah. So in my head, this entire time we've been recording is the Stonecutters song from the Simpsons.
Steve Guttenberg, I think, fell victim to the same thing like Ralph Macchio did.
Yeah,
he's a cute actor, but he was not a handsome actor.
Yeah. And he's not like a thespian.
Yeah,
you know,
so it's like it's like the same with like you get out of once Ralph Macchio started getting older, you stop seeing him. Mm-hmm. And same with Guttenberg because he's still just kind of boyishly cute, but he was never like, wow, I want to see him in Playgirl.
that was you almost got a spit take out of me there.
I may have been looking at your screen when I said it.
As I'm taking a sip of coffee. You're not going to see Steve Guttenberg in Playgirl.
But you look at like a Tom Selleck and he like fits the mold of like a Burt Reynolds, like just handsome and. Like Tom Selleck had that mustache in 6th grade, so
he came out of the womb with that mustache.
No hair till he was 5, and all grew on his face.
It's a rare skin disease. He has.
Like reverse alopecia.
Patreon subscriber Melissa L has this great shirt. It's her favorite shirt, and it's all of these 80s hunks. There's like a dozen of them on there. And Selleck is the biggest one. He's right in the middle, and it's his chest hair is out, and it's his big mustache. But like Dolph Lundgren is on there, young Mark Harmon is on there, Richard Gere, Burt Reynolds, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, it's great. So it's all these 80s hunks, but Selleck is the most prominently featured. Yeah. That was my two bads. Hang on, what's your
Just why didn't Steve, Ted, and Tom release a rap album? Like,
I will say they had the physical choreography down. They were swaying in rhythm very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than that, not a good look.
No, and it's like, okay, it's fun, fine. You did it for your kid. You do things like that, but it's like you filmed it. Like someone was like, "Hey, I have an idea.
Let's have these 3 middle-aged white actors do a rap together.
The entire song.
Yeah,
let's do the whole thing. Like do the first and cut out. Like we get it, but like no, we had to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, so, it wasn't very. Yeah,
no. So that was my yes. Was where's their rap album?
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Murphy had one. Like
his girl likes to party all the time.
All the time. So
all the time.
What's your huh?
My huh is and this could probably go back to the first 3 Men and a Baby movie, but why didn't they cast a British actress for Sylvia? Like, Nancy Travis is American. Like there's lots of British actresses out there. Why couldn't you just cast a British actress? She's a British character.
Teeth,
it's like
the teeth. Yeah.
It's kind of like casting Matthew Broderick in Lady Hawk.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's the teeth.
The teeth, yeah.
It was the 90s. So, 1990s. So you figure they made it in the 80s, the decade of, materialism and pretension. And like Austin Powers didn't break that wall down for a few more years.
Had this movie been made after Austin Powers.
Right. So, but no, I'm with you there.
I did have a backup, as well. Did Jack have like an old man makeup kit with him?
Yeah, as always.
Yeah. So I'll let you pick which of those two you want to use for my actual
Fair enough.
Whichever one you like better.
Fair enough. So why didn't Nancy Travis have an old man makeup kit?
There you go. You just put them together.
Is Ted Danson a British woman?
Could be.
It's like National Enquirer level Hans. So, all right, that is
Bigfoot is Ted Danson.
Right. Stop sound like the Bat Boy.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say, is Nancy Travis Bat Boy?
Oh, that wraps up 3 Men and a Little Lady. Next week is yours. What do you got for next week? You kind of gave a little precursor.
I did. If you were paying attention there, as we continue Lady Movie Month here in July 2024, we're gonna go a couple years prior to 3 Men and a Little Lady. We're gonna go back to 1985 for the Richard Donner directed Lady Hawk,
a movie I've not seen.
I finished it yesterday. It's another movie that was one of those movies that we recorded off like HBO when I was 11 or something like that. And Patreon subscriber Colleen K had a liking for this movie. So it was a movie I had seen in my youth, but had probably not seen in 25, 30 years.
Right. Yeah, I not seen this one at all. So I'm going in blind.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lady Hawk, you can stream it on the Roku channel.
Yep.
So it does have ads, but you can stream this movie if you're playing along at home.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can rent it on your usual rental places.
Or I could just give you my VHS tape. That we recorded it off HBO in 1988.
Leave your home address in the comments below, and Curtis will. We'll wait.
I'll swing. I'll run it over.
You guys will watch it together.
Yeah. Short Circuit 2 is on right after
it. So, Lady Hawk is up for next week as we are heading into week 2 of Lady Movie Month. Mm-hmm. I did add Jamie Gertz to the spreadsheet.
So Jamie Gertz month is now a future possibility.
And so, but no, we'll be back next week with Lady Hawk. Social media, you guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Patreon link as well in case you want to join the Patreon army. The benevolent forces that we have fighting for us in the world of patrons. But that wraps up. Kicking off, this is a fun one.
Yeah,
it'll be a fun month. So, but for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
We'll see you guys next week with Lady Hawk.